The Lions knock off the Bucs 31-23. The Lions are on to the NFC Championship game in year 3 of the Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, Jared Goff experience. Wow. What a job. Just what a job. I mean, that again, what are you going to remember from this game? I'll remember that moment just as the clock ticks down, where you have these guys finishing this thing off in a way. You know, it's not with a title, but like to be in an NFC Championship game in year 3 from where they were in year 1, and to think about where this franchise was for years, decades, and to now have this level of optimism, this level of underlying talent. Gibbs had his moments today. LaPorta had his moments today. Brian Branch had his moments today. Mel Fohn was an in-house draft pick. Amon-Ra St. Brown, all the offensive linemen, watching Penei Sewell block in space, seeing Jared Goff play the way that he did today. I said it in week 4. I love watching Jared Goff play football right now. I just like watching him play the position. He is spinning it. And in this game specifically, the damage that they were able to do over the middle of the field. This is a guy who has the confidence of the organization that he's playing for. You can see it just kind of coursing through him. Life has been breathed back into his career, and he is playing in an offense with a play caller that has specifically tailored this thing to what he does well, and he has been allowed to play at a level that I don't think anyone outside of that Lions building and Jared Goff's immediate family ever thought he was ever going to be able to play out again.
I'm talking about confidence at position. The second touchdown to St. Brown, that ball placement was one of the prettiest touchdown throws you'll see. That wheel route, that was just, and that's what he plays when he is confident and feeling it, and it can be protected and everything. Oh my God, no one spins the ball better, especially throwing over the middle. He'll whip in some of the hardest. He's such a funny player because he can throw the hardest throws, seams, digs, stuff to the field that's like, real pushing the ball stuff, like corners and out routes and stuff like that. And then it's just sometimes can feel off. It's just he can't do other things. He can't do some of the creation stuff and everything, but it's like that stuff that he can do, he's one of the best at. And you can see it because this team's winning, obviously, and we're seeing more games of it. But it's really cool to see it consistently happen and happen in moments that like truly matter. It's not like that was a cool throw and a 20-point loss or a 20-point win. It was like, no, that was a freaking ballsy touchdown. That was a real big throw that like puts him over the top. And watching again, we talked about with the Ravens, but watching every guy play to their best selves. Brock Wright catching probably the longest play of the game. Jahmyr Gibbs.
He looks so confused when he was running down the field. He didn't know what to do with himself.
That's every catch my dad had in his career. The watching, we talk about these guys playing their best selves, but it's just, oh man, I was thinking him, I was thinking Branch, I was thinking the offensive line. Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, going into this year, I was like, hey, fantasy owners, you're going to be frustrated because Jahmyr Gibbs is not good in protection. This is why you're going to see a lot more David Montgomery. Watch Jahmyr Gibbs in protection now. He's good. He's good in his first year, and
he had one of that blitz pickup he had today was just was beautiful.
I thought it was Montgomery at first.
It was absolutely beautiful. And we talked about that coming
Montgomery.
Because we didn't see Gibbs in the first matchup, and they're going to blitz the shit out of him. So what is he going to be able to do in protection? The answer is he's going to answer the bell the same way that every single member of this roster has at every single turn over the last 3 years.
That was funny too, because you could tell Bulls was messing with them because they didn't play Gibbs a bunch to start because they were probably expecting a bunch of blitzes, and Bulls like didn't blitz at all like the first 2 drives. And I love when that happens. Kind of like, oh, here it comes, 50% blitz rate, here it comes, and then it's like, and then Bulls is like, not going to do it. Yeah, I'm holding back. And then he kind of got into it as the game went along. But the fact that Gibbs running back pass protection is really its indicator is it's actually like defensive basketball. It's effort from the player and it's coaching. And that's really what it is. It's one of the most, I don't want to say it doesn't take talent, but guys that are not as talented as other players can do it really well and have long careers because they can do it.
Yes, Samaje Perine is not a talented running back by NFL standards.
Like, hey, he has the college football record, most yards in a game. Played, I think, Kansas. but Latavius Murray, who was really, I think he had the speed score when he was coming out of UCF. But Latavius Murray is able to stick in the league because he's so damn good at protection. That's just what his calling card is. And when these guys have size and they can do it. But why I'm saying all this is, again, it's just like with the Packers receivers. They can do all the flashy stuff, but the fact that now they're getting like they're really eating their vegetables, that's good. That's where the growth happens, because they're not just going, hey, Jameer, you're going in just to run choice routes, which you can early on. It's now he's getting asked to do real football stuff and excelling. Jameson Williams is the same way. They don't use Jameson Williams just to run posts and goes. They use him to run digs and glance routes.
That deep little hinge route that he had on one of the first drives today,
route,
where he's threatening down the field. He has to sit it down. He had a moment today. And we've talked about this with this team. The patience and the adherence to the plan is remarkable. And they have had a vision for this entire thing that I often couldn't see. And I was willing to admit that. When we talked about the Lions coming into the season, I wasn't sure that they had done enough to put themselves over the top. Like, do you really have the firepower to compete with some of these really, really good teams? You got a second-round rookie tight end. You got a rookie running back. Like that. Those were your moves? Those were your moves in a year where you're supposed to be a division winner, a potential contending team. Well, I was flat out wrong. But in that conversation, I said, I have been wrong. I have not always been on board with the decisions they've made. I've been wrong about them. Brad Holmes has been correct in the vision that he's had. And I'm willing to admit that what they did this offseason may be another example of that. And it was. Even the ways that they built some of the position groups, right? You have Derek Barnes, you re-sign Alex Anzalone, you draft Jack Campbell in the first round. It's like, well, you need all those guys. And then you have Barnes make the play of the day and finish off this game with an interception. Anzalone has been a nice steadying presence for them over the course of the year. On the back end, it's like, oh man, you just kind of like threw bodies at the problem. Like, how's this going to shake out role wise? Like, who's going to play?
They're all samey. How
does this work out? And then the answer is, well, we have tons of personnel packages. If we want to play three safeties together, we can do that. Melfone was a dominant blitzer. CJ Gardner-Johnson had an interception today. Branch has been excellent for them. Kirby Joseph it was really good as a rookie. So you can't have too many good players, even if the pieces don't always cleanly fit into what we think and how we see a team being built and the way it should be built. That isn't always the most important thing. And I think that they've done such a good job of understanding that. There's so few square pegs and round holes on this team in the way that they've put it together. And they've been able to see 2 steps ahead of where everyone else could. It started with the Goff move, but it is extended to really everything else they've done as they've built this roster and as they've rebuilt this franchise.
And again, it's another thing where it takes effort and work to develop a player. That means coaches and the player are putting in a lot of effort. And like you said, the confidence and maybe just the vision and just the trust that the flashes that they do see. Aleem McNeil is the best example of it. Aleem McNeil, I'm telling you guys, I watched maybe 6 games of all 22 Lions defense last year, maybe more than that, but at least 6. I think I mentioned Aleem McNeil never, ever. And then he comes into this year and he's a good player. And the fact that they're like, oh, we're betting on him in his development. He's going to be okay. We complimented the Colts offensive line and all that in the same way. We're going like, really? This is your guys' plan? You're going? But they trusted with their own eyes and saying, hey, we can do this. Sometimes, again, this is a double-edged sword where you're like, some teams tell themselves that, oh, this guy's going to be a Pro Bowler. This guy's going to be this. But they nailed it. And they actually were like,
you have to be able to evaluate your own roster.
Yes.
You have to be able to evaluate your own roster.
Of everybody else. That's it.
And I think so many teams misevaluate their own roster when they're talking themselves into the players and they're rationalizing it. Listen, I hear it every year. I hear it every single year. I go out around training camp. I go to 25 different teams.
Oh, yeah, from the teams?
Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Why'd you build it this way? And everyone tries to tell you a story. Sometimes it's right. Sometimes it's wrong. And the Lions have been right throughout this entire process in terms of the way that they have put this thing together. They really have.
They really have.